Hello, everyone. This is Robert Landau, Live Life Well TV host, and this happens to be a special edition of our popular weekly trivia show that we call True or False. Why is this a special edition? Well, stay tuned. I'll tell you. All right, so you probably already know, but this happens to be a special Thanksgiving edition of True or False. And even if it isn't Thanksgiving, when you're watching this, stay with me. You might find some of the information I'm going to share with you, true or false-wise, concerning Thanksgiving of interest. So, with that in mind, let's begin. True or false, folks? Thanksgiving is held on the final Thursday of November each year. Question again, true or false? Thanksgiving is held on the final Thursday of November each year. True or false? That happens to be false, and here's why. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln designated the last Thursday in November as a national holiday called Thanksgiving. That he did. However, in 1939, after a request from the National Retail Dry Goods Association, President Franklin Roosevelt decreed that the holiday should always be celebrated on the fourth Thursday of the month. Not the last, right? And never the occasional fifth, as occurred in 1939. And that was in order to extend the holiday shopping season by a week. That's not surprising. The decision sparked great controversy and was still unresolved 2 years later when the House of Representatives passed a resolution making the last Thursday in November a legal national holiday. The Senate amended the resolution, setting the date as the fourth Thursday, and the House eventually agreed. Next up, true or false? One of America's founding fathers thought the turkey should be the national bird of the United States. True or false? What do you think? That happens to be true. In a letter to his daughter sent back in 1784, Benjamin Franklin suggested that the wild turkey be a more appropriate national symbol for the newly independent United States than the bald eagle, which had earlier been chosen by the Continental Congress. Wow, that's pretty intense to go from a bald eagle as our national bird to a turkey as our national bird. Franklin argued that the turkey was, quote, a much more respectable bird, a true original native of America, and though a little vain and silly, a bird of courage. Well, as we all know now, that didn't happen. And by the way, all of the information I'm sharing with you on this episode comes from history.com. So we thank them for this incredible stuff. Kind of like stuffing. Get it? Ha! Oh, God. Robert, just do the next question, please. True or false? In 1863, Abraham Lincoln became the first American president to proclaim a national holiday of Thanksgiving. False. That didn't happen. George Washington, John Adams, and James Madison all issued proclamations urging Americans to observe days of Thanksgiving, both for general good fortune and for particularly momentous events. So there goes that one. So how you doing? Are you having fun? I am. I don't know about you. Anyway, let's continue with this. True or false, ladies and gentlemen? Macy's was the first American department store to sponsor a parade in celebration of Thanksgiving. What do you think? Macy's was the first American department store to sponsor a parade in celebration of Thanksgiving. True or false? It's false. And here's why. The Philadelphia department store Gimbals, oh my God, I remember Gimbals. I mean, it was a national chain, at least it was in the Northeast, but the Philadelphia department store Gimbals had sponsored a parade in 1920. But the Macy's parade, launched just 4 years later, soon became a Thanksgiving tradition and the standard kickoff to the holiday shopping season. The parade became ever more well-known after it featured prominently in the hit film, remember, Miracle on 34th Street. Ah, great holiday movie, probably one of the best, at least in my opinion. Next true or false question for you goes like this. Turkeys are slow-moving birds that lack the ability to fly. True or false? Turkeys are slow-moving birds that lack the ability to fly. That happens to be false, but kinda false. Domesticated turkeys, the type eaten on Thanksgiving, cannot fly, and their pace is limited to a slow walk. Female domestic turkeys, which are typically smaller and lighter than males, can move somewhat faster. There you go. Next up, true or false, Native Americans used cranberries, which of course is now a staple of many Thanksgiving dinners, for cooking as well as medicinal purposes. True or false, Native Americans used cranberries for cooking as well as medicinal purposes. That actually happens to be, what do you think? True! Ha! Gotcha! Ha ha ha! Robert, just continue with the answer, please. I know what you're thinking. I'm a mind reader. That actually is true. According to the Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association, one of the country's oldest farmers organizations, Native Americans used cranberries in a variety of foods. And they also used it as a medicine to treat arrow punctures and other wounds, and as a dye for fabric. The Pilgrims actually adopted these uses for the fruit and gave it a name, craneberry, because its drooping pink blossoms in the spring reminded them of a crane. There you go. Next up, the movement of the turkey inspired a ballroom dance. The movement of a turkey inspired a ballroom dance. True or false? That happens to be true. The turkey trot, modeled on that bird's characteristic short, jerky steps, was one of a number of popular dance styles that emerged during the late 19th and early 20th century in the US of A. The two-step, a simple dance that required little to no instruction, was quickly followed by such dances as the one-step, the turkey trot, the fox trot, and the bunny hug, which could all be performed to the ragtime and jazz music popular back in that day. Next true or false for you, it goes like this. On Thanksgiving Day in 2007, 2 turkeys earned a trip to Disney World. True or false? And I know you want me to share that question again. On Thanksgiving Day in 2007, 2 turkeys earned a trip to Disney World. True or false? That's so crazy. It's got to be true. On November 20th, 2007, President George W. Bush granted a pardon to 2 turkeys named May and Flower at the 60th annual National Thanksgiving Turkey Presentation held in the Rose Garden, of course, at the White House. The 2 turkeys were flown to Orlando, Florida, where they served as honorary grand marshals for the Disney World Thanksgiving Parade. The current tradition of presidential turkey pardons began in 1947 under Harry Truman, but the practice is said to have informally begun with Abraham Lincoln, who granted a pardon to his son Tad's pet turkey. I love it. I just love it. Trivia is fun. I don't think we do enough trivia nowadays. It's fun to look back and find interesting facts about our past or our present or our future. Stimulates the brain. Two more before we close. Second to last true or false question in honor of Thanksgiving goes like this. True or false? Turkey contains an amino acid that makes you sleepy. Turkey contains an amino acid that makes you sleepy. I'm sure you know the answer to that. It does. Turkey contains the essential amino acid tryptophan, which is a natural sedative, but so do a lot of other foods, including chicken, beef, pork, beans, and cheese. Final question, true or false? The tradition of playing or watching football on Thanksgiving started with the first National Football League game on the holiday in 1934. Question again, true or false? The tradition of playing or watching football on Thanksgiving started with the first National Football League game on the holiday in 1934. True or false, do you think? False. The American tradition of college football on Thanksgiving is pretty much as old as the sport itself. The newly formed American Intercollegiate Football Association held its first championship game on Thanksgiving Day in 1876. Wow. At the time, the sport resembled something between rugby and what we think of as football today. By the 1890s, though, more than 5,000 club, college, and high school football games were taking place on Thanksgiving, and championship matchups between schools like Princeton and Yale could draw up to 40,000 fans. But the NFL took up the tradition in 1934 when the Detroit Lions played the Chicago Bears at the University of Detroit Stadium in front of 26,000 fans. Since then, the Lions game on Thanksgiving has become an annual event, taking place every year except during the World War II years. So, did you have a good time? Did you learn a couple of new things about Thanksgiving that you didn't know before? Everything that I shared, I didn't know before. So, I'm glad I did it. I hope you did too. And before we close, don't forget to check out the other Thanksgiving-themed programs we have for you on Live Life Well TV this week. We have a special Thanksgiving episode of Did You Know? We have a special Thanksgiving episode of Health and Wellness Tips for Thanksgiving. The list goes on and on. So do check them out. I think you will enjoy them as well. I am very thankful that you joined me for this episode of True or False, and this has been Robert Landau, your Live Life Well TV host. Thanks for joining me, everybody. We'll see you soon. God bless.